Thank you. Good afternoon. Welcome to the special joint committee meeting for Protective and Emergency Services, as well as Finance, Audit, Tendering, and Administration for Thursday, December 12th. I'll call the meeting to order. Are there any declarations of conflict of interest? I'm seeing none. Can I have someone approve our agenda today? Moved by Councillor Ramsey, seconded by Deputy Mayor Yankoff. We have one discussion item, which is to look at the tender that went out for the upfit of 8 Dodge Durango vehicles, and I think we'll start with Chief McGonnell. Councillor Duran, you are on the line, correct?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Okay, sorry, thank you. And we'll start, and Chief, we'll let you start with the report, and then we'll move it to the right committee.
Thank you, Chair. As you indicated, there is one report in the package regarding an uplift of 8 Dodge Durangos. The purpose of the report is to seek approval from committee for resolution to council. The staff recommends that council approve, as per the conditions of the RFP for Dodge Durango uplift, the highest ranked submission of Scotia Emergency in the amount of $208,000. There was 2 bidders in this process, and it really came down to cost. Both scored equally in the requirements, the met, but it came down to a $32,000 difference in pricing, and the costs associated with the fleet are part of the police fleet capital budget.
Thank you. It is part of our budget from this year? The money's there, is it?
Yeah. Yes, so as part of the resolution that will go to council, there is a reallocation. So the total fleet budget doesn't have to change, but there's a rebalancing amongst the 4 or 5 line items within the fleet. It became clear, Steve McFadgen and I spent some time over the last couple of days just looking at what made it to the budget book last year in the capital budget, and what we actually intended to spend, and it didn't line up. And as an example, the large fleet police was only $300,000 in the capital budget, and we knew at that time that we were into a $600,000 expenditure for the SUVs on their own, and we knew as well that we were going to have to fit them up. So anyway, I think it got missed and wasn't rebalanced at that time, but we didn't want to go ahead with this tender without the budget that came through finance and onto council for approval. That we want the budget to reflect what the spending is, so authorizes us to go ahead and spend it. So it's a rebalancing within that total fleet budget of 2.215 million was the amount in the budget document itself, and we had an additional 240 that was reallocated based on a budget transfer that Scott brought forward some time ago.
Okay, so there's no new money required.
No new money required, just a rebalancing within that account.
Okay.
Okay. Are there any questions from anyone else from either committee? Councillor McLear?
So just to be clear, that there was a tender, went out there, 2 replies, correct? Spence Communications for $240,588 and Scotia Emergency for $208, correct? And the recommendation is or the staff recommendation is Scotia. Is that correct?
Chair, through to Councillor McAleer, that is correct, yeah.
It's $32,000 cheaper. Yeah, and yes, Spence. Just curious personally. Spence Communications. Is that are either of these firms? Are they both local or either? Just out of curiosity.
No, Councillor McLear. Spence Communications is on the island, and I think Scotia Emergency is based out of Nova Scotia. Am I correct?
That's correct.
Any other questions?
I just have one there, Chair.
Yes, sir.
Just wondering when we bid or we put a tender out, how come we don't put it out that they're all fitted? what happened? Is this something we do every year, or is this something that's new, or I'm just wondering, this is a big expenditure to fit them up. I'm just wondering, moving forward, do we put a tender out that has them fitted?
I'm going to try this, and then I'm going to let you chime in, but I know I had asked this similar question today, Councillor Duran, and typically, because we don't go to tender for projects under $25,000, and because this is a unique year where we actually have 8 vehicles, the price for outfitting these is over the $25,000, which is why they had to go to tender on this particular project. But if I missed something in that, Chief, you can chime in there.
Yes, Chair, through the Council, Drawn. Yeah, so historically, we have not done that. The money's always been allocated. The vehicles need to be upfitted, but sometimes parts are transitioned from one old vehicle to a new vehicle, so it becomes very complicated to kind of order the vehicles completely outfitted. In this case, where there's a new line of vehicles, it's a requirement, but basically, essentially, this requirement to upfit the vehicles always existed. And yes, you can order them completely upfitted, but that is, my understanding, that is contracted to a third party from the dealer itself too. And of course, we always looking at savings, so we look at what we can transfer from the old vehicles to the new vehicles. And so this is kind of an anomaly in our process.
Okay, just one other question. Is there a timeline on when this could be completed? Was that in the tender documents, or is this going to be done fairly soon, or just wondering about the timeline?
Had it on pause there for a minute.
Thank you, Chair, through the Council, Drawn. Yeah, we did put some specifications in the tender regarding timelines because we are in kind of urgent need of these vehicles, but neither vendor that replied could meet the timelines specified. So it come down to the difference in pricing, which was, again, $32,000 was the difference in the scoring.
Would you happen to have a timeline? Did they tell you? Like, is this going to be done next spring or right away? Like I say, if you need those vehicles outfitted, it has to be done as soon as possible, right? As you know.
I think that's why we're having this emergency meeting now, just to get it done as soon as possible.
Yes, Chair, through the Council, Drawn. Yeah, there is, we need the vehicles. I think the sense of urgency has been expressed to committee, and so we are, trying to, kind of advance this as quickly as possible, and hopefully within a couple months, we'll have all 8 vehicles turned around. That's our hope.
And I think one other thing, if I may, I think one of the things that kind of put us in this predicament, correct me if I'm wrong, Chair, but whenever the tender that it looked like we had won for the Fords, and then they couldn't produce them, and we had a retender, I think that probably slows things down a little bit as far as outfitting these vehicles. We were getting prepared to outfit the other vehicles until they come back and said they couldn't supply them for about 2 years. So.
Do you want to respond?
Chair, through the Councilor Bernard, that is correct. The initial tender went to Ford for the original vehicles, but they couldn't supply the engines, and that kind of reset the process. And so now we find ourselves with a few years without any new vehicles, and our fleet is getting diminished, and so there's a sense of urgency to get it replenished.
I think there'll be if this committee's all in agreement, there'll be a resolution that'll be ready to go to tonight's special meeting so that this process can start. Do you have a question, Councillor Ramsey?
No, I'll certainly make the motion to move it on to finance.
I'll second it.
Moved, seconded. On to finance, on to council. Can we just go with that, or do we have to then switch chairs and go to a finance chair? Can we just all agree that it's going to go on to council in this process? Sorry. It's a unique one.
It was one set of minutes? Yeah, it was just one in council Councillor Twill chaired it, even though it was two.
So if there's a
But then there was
majority, it
no,
should be fine.
yeah.
So we'll agree that on behalf of the police is moving it to finance, because the finance committee's here, the finance committee's recommending to go to
Yeah, I
council.
think that's a no-brainer.
Yeah,
So, and I-
Councillor Duran, are you okay moving this on to the finance department, who are also in this meeting?
Sure, that'd be great, thank you.
And I just have another question. Sorry, Eleanor. So there's two chairs here. So does that mean both chairs can't vote?
Yeah, technically.
Okay.
If we split the vote between the two committees,
Yeah.
or you can treat this as one special meeting with one chair who will not vote, and then the rest of you have a majority. You can do it either way.
I mean, really, common sense would say you move it on to council as soon as possible.
It's going hopefully to council, and
I
they'll have the
know.
final say tonight. So we have the motion to move it from Councillor Ramsey, and a seconder by Councillor Bernard. All those in favor to move this to council? Councillor Duran?
In favor?
Thank
We're
you.
not just in favor of moving it to council. We're in favor of staff's recommendation.
Yes,
Yeah.
that was what Kevin's resolution was to support.
Not just to move it to council.
No,
'cause
support
moving it to
staff's
council
recommendation.
Indicates that we're not making a decision, but we are. We're recommending staff's recommendation.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I
That's what
think
the
I
That's what the
understood.
resolution would be. That's what
Yeah.
we're doing. We're asking that to go
Yeah.
to council.
Yeah.
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 Okay. A motion to adjourn. Moved, seconded. See you in 20 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you.